As long as you don't know what you ought to know, you don't grow. Now, a lot of people think that real estate is just about buying and selling properties. You're not far from the truth, but there's something the wealthy ones know that you do not know. And that information is that the wealthy ones don't just buy and sell properties, they use they use real estate as a tool. And what are these tools? They use real estate to reduce their taxes and even grow their wealth faster. Now, today I'll be showing you how. A wise man said, if your why is strong enough, the how will show. And because I presume that your why is strong enough today, I'm going to show you the how. Let's start with something called depreciation. Let's say you own a property, a short-let property in Lekki, right? Maybe somewhere in Lekki Phase 1 and all that. The law allows you to write off a part of it as time goes on because it's depreciating, even though on paper it's actually appreciating. So what does that do for you? When you write it over as loss, as depreciable value, that helps you in tax advantages. How do I explain this to you? The law allows you to write off the building's value over time. So if the property is worth 250 million today, the law permits you on paper to bring in depreciation that happens over time, which reduces the value of the property on paper. But in the real sense, that property is no longer 250 million, it's 300 million. But on paper, because of depreciation, you can pay less tax. Did you catch that? Number two, now there is a more advanced trick. It's called cost segregation, where you have to split some of the unit costs, how much you're spending on your AC, your tiles, how much you're sending to fuse the tiles, the bathroom. All those are tenancies that makes up the complete fabric, the holistic fabric of the property, right? You can segregate them out. When you segregate these unit costs, it's easier to write them off faster. Smart developers and landlords use this trick to write off their tax in those early years. And I'm sure it's still applicable. Don't tell them I told you. Number three, in Nigeria, we do not have the United States 1031 exchange, but there's something similar, right? If you sell your property and quickly reinvest it into another property in Nigeria, right, you can actually defer your capital gains tax. The smart guys are using this tool to evade tax. Number four, most Nigerians don't buy properties in their personal names, right? They buy it in the name of their company, especially when it's a limited liability company, LLC, and especially when such company is actually a public one. So once you buy a property in your company's name, number one, it protects your name. Nobody knows that it belongs to you because who they are seeing is a company. And then number two, it also helps you to get some tax advantages. A good example, have you noticed that most of these big banks are actually tenants to a property owned by their bosses but wasn't bought in their boss's name? Now, I'm tempted to call one, but because the public domain, I might not want to call it. So when you do that, it's also smart. It's another way to have some tax advantages. The last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, this one will interest you. It has to do with smart timing. Like I said, it's for smart investors who takes advantage of smart timing. Do you know what they call tax benefits? Yeah. The government also applies that if you know your way around it to get tax benefits, even though your property is appreciating, but you're paying some little amount for your tax. Ladies and gentlemen, having said all this, these are not illegal. They are not illegal at all. They are ways smart investors actually grow their wealth faster and then pay less tax. Like I said when I started this particular video, as long as you don't know what you ought to know, you don't grow. This is not illegal. Start thinking like a high net worth investor. Follow celebrity value, ladies and gentlemen, and let's grow well together using the real estate sense.